They'll be calling you a radical. Of course, scientists are mystified, they're baffled, they're stumped, they're perplexed, they're bewildered. But this is a big story. So Alaska's come out and emergency closed the crabbing. This is the time of year. You got to get your holiday crab. Completely closed it, just like the state of Washington did, just like Oregon did. Said it's the first time that it's happened in many decades. Salmon collapse. This is all acute. You know, we keep talking climate change. We don't talk acute climate change. This is a radical freaking ecological catastrophe the last 10 years, and everybody's in denial. The nuclear energy emperor has no fucking clue. So, as you know, my hypothesis, they are relying on these meltdowns. They're going to push it into the Pacific Ocean, and it's going to genocide the Pacific Ocean. Big fish eat little fish. It's going to cause a heat bubble over the western United States. Great Salt Lake's going to go dry. Tide pools are going to collapse. Salmon will collapse. Steelhead, who go to sea 1 to 2 years, will start to collapse on cue. Right off the get. 5 years into this, the Chinook will collapse on cue in 2016. Now, if that's not a hypothesis pinpointing Fukushima as the culprit, I don't know, but it happened. It's undeniable proof. So, as you know, so it's not a hypothesis anymore. My work is proven. Because in science, you can run regression. We know there's an outline. We're going to take a Geiger counter out. What's a Geiger? A Geiger can tell you anything. I mean, the evidence, I've laid it out. It's unarguable. To nausea. So, this is an acute catastrophe. It's the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history. We want more nuclear. I mean, up is down, black is white, wrong is white. But you also know my hypothesis on COVID is it's a byproduct of the Fukushima disaster. Now, you think that's crazy, then you think Einstein's nuts. He said, sooner or later, we're going to let this genie out of the bottle. Never happened at Mayak. Never happened to Santa Susana. Never happened at Idaho National Lab. Never happened to 3 Mile Island. Never happened at Chernobyl. And those were all nasty, horrible killers. Bad. He says we're going to get full-blown core out meltdowns and we're going to have no clue what it is. This genie's going to get out of the bottle and it's going to mutate and it's going to freaking every living thing on Earth. And he was asked, well, humans will be able to adapt to that, right? He says, in 50 generations. My hypothesis has always been that COVID came from the sea. It came from a fish. It came from seafood. So now there's of all people, the University of Arizona. By the way, the University of Arizona's name's on the KOK study that Kevin BLANCH leaked into the internet that was secretly done, including Ken Buckafuck Buesler was on that study, and all those different ones. Now, stay with me. I'm the one that leaked that into the internet before it was even, they wrote their conclusion. In June 20th, there was a secret team over there on a ship testing, including Ken Buesler was on the ship. There's his mug on the pictures out there now. He's got a lot of nerve, by the way. So, University of Arizona was one of the participants. There were multiple universities all over the country on this ship. And they're testing June 2011. This is in the abstract. We tested 3 sample sets 25 kilometers off the coast of Fukushima, 40 meters down in the water. First sample set, 3 times the background. Now, they used to say it was twice, 3 times. So, first sample set, 3 times. That's enough to scare the bejesus. We know what the background level is. That's Bikini Atolls, you know, all the other testing that's gone all over the world. We nuked ourselves. 3 times. That's enough to scare the shit. Second sample set, 50 times. Third sample set, get ready for 1,000 times. Their conclusion was that the catastrophe had already got into the water column, had got into the biosphere, they called it, and was into the water column, into the biosphere, and there was no stopping it. June 2011. Now, this thing has gotten worse every day since. They never got a handle on it. I'm not sure they ever tried, Mary Antoinette Obama. So my hypothesis always said she's going to come for the people. I said it. Standing on the Pacific Ocean as I was dying for cancer. Well, the mighty blue lady, she's going to fight back. She's going to come for the people. I've always, since COVID happened, my hypothesis always said, you know, COVID, the word doesn't mean Kobe, Japanese. Kobe's an old Japanese word. It means great. I think the World Health Organization knows I know. I think that's why they're kettling me so hard. They think, you know, it's like Spanish flu. Spanish flu, it's unarguable. It came from the trenches in World War I. You know, a soldier in Kansas brought it home. The Kansas flu, Spain was neutral. They were the one reporting it. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, this scientist has worked over the paperwork. You know, all the data has been released. He's going over old data, just regurgitating it. But what he has come to the conclusion, the guy miles away who was the first case was not the first case. The first case was a female at the Wuhan market, wet market, who was a vendor there, and she was selling clams. She was a clam vendor. Now, we know clams and seafood were the very first thing right after Fukushima that showed up with contagious leukemia. Yes, there's such a thing. Contagious leukemia. Now, I have leukemia, and I've told different people, you gave it to me, but I'm talking, in shellfish, we know that it's a real thing, contagious leukemia. But is that where it came from? Well, my hypothesis has always been that. Now, stay with me. You're going to say, no, it came from the Wuhan lab, and, you know, the arrest of Charles Lieber, and how can that just be coincidence? And there's a lot of evidence there, a lot of evidence that that's the case. Now, are they mutually exclusive of each other, the two hypotheses? Kevin Blanch's hypothesis, and, well, this is, the World Health Organization is saying this now, different, you know, he's saying, well, they've always said it came from the wet market. You know, bat ate fish. But now, this is put a little different light. Maybe it didn't come from the horseshoe bat. This is throwing the horseshoe bat thesis out that the person ate the horseshoe bat. Remember, that was the original. His work is saying no. This work is saying that it came, this woman who's the vendor got it first, and did she get it from her own clams? Yeah, that's what I think. Now, was it a biological weapon they were messing with? Lieber arrested, which has ties here. I mean, the guy who sticks up for him every time is a BYU guy. But I don't think they're mutual. And stay with me, this is a hypothesis. As I've said it before lots of times, as you know. You know, the Riken lab in Japan, which we bombed post, you know, World War II, we bombed it out. You know, the multiple labs, the lab in Bethesda, Maryland, there's a lot of people that still think that maybe it came from there. Of course, the Livermore, bringing star powder, Kamala Harris's mom who died of cancer, the Livermore lab, you know, all these different labs all over the world, these monsters, I mean, madmen, psychopaths, just you flooding with money. You know what the kind of money these people make? We haven't heard a peep on the Charles Lieber arrest or the trial, have we? That's very interesting to me. You know, he was arrested. He's out on $1 million bail for collusion. You know, he's the Harvard lab guy in Symphony State Secrets to the Wuhan lab. Now, that can't be coincidence. Now, stay with me. I think, now you can look this up, as I named it Fuktonium. You can look it up. Livermorium, Tennessean. These are all elements that have run into the periodic table post-Fukushima. Now, we know that Livermore was crashing multiple ways from the Fukushima event together to create a new one. They've got like 5 of them. They have $2 million a piece, by the way. I mean, where's mine? Fuktonium. Where's Kevin Blanch's? I mean, I'm the first guy that ever came up with any of this. I mean, this Semmelweis. I think they know what they're not telling any of the American populace. They knew these were meltdowns off the get. That's unarguable. They've been fucking around. I think they were fucking around with what debris they gathered over there. The MOX fuel debris from 3 that went fused together and melded. Did they get some of the core elements? Well, the cores have melded and burrowed in, and their robots can't get close to them, but were there pieces of it that blew up? Were there pieces in there that they actually got a hold of, and they've been fucking around with them in the Ricken lab, in the Wuhan lab? Now, I think, personally, these monsters have tapped into something at Fukushima. You know, your buckyballs, whatever. And I think not only that, the SMR that blew up in 2018 that started having issues, which has been, you haven't heard people on that either, have you? Now, you do know it's called the, I spent enough time at the IAEA in Vienna that I know the rules. It's called the downwinder letter. If there's a nuclear accident, and this is international law that's written into international law, that if you know, you can't send the letter unless you absolutely positively know that there's been a disaster. So, Arriva, who's the French company who's building the reactor, the fast breeder in the SMR, which is not so small in Japan, went online, the first one in 2018. I reported it right when my YouTube site started to get really seriously kettled in February of 2018. My subscriber base was always steady. You know, I gained 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers a year every year. That's when it ended. I reported that they had a problem at that reactor. It was on the front page of Reddit. They sure the fuck don't get it. And it had hundreds of thousands of views. And then all of a sudden it got just taken down. And Google, you know, just really never explained to me why. I never put it on the front page of Reddit, you know. Is that part of this puzzle? It's something we need to seriously consider. So, Jennifer Graham-Holm, who's this DOE, she got the letter. And it was somebody inside CNN in the middle of the night leaked it. I got my hands on it really early, and I reported it, that letter was sent out, and Jennifer Graham-Holm and the Biden administration played just like the Trump administration, just like the Obama administration, just bowing to the nerves and never told the public. So it's called the imminent radiation letter. And it's to warn all downwinder countries that there's radiation coming over you and let you know. It cannot be sent out unless they positively know. That's international law. You can look it up. IAEA. They sent it. And no one reported it, which is against the law in my mind. I'm pretty sure it's, you know, Patriot Act thinks they changed everything. And it was a person inside working in the middle of the night. Well, I know who it is. Leaked it into the internet. And then I reported it. So we know in 2018 they started having problems with this thing. This happened this year. The letter was sent out June, D-Day this year. In 2021. They've been fucking around having problems. And we haven't heard a peep since, have we? Is this part of this equation, in this puzzle? In my mind, 3 full blown out meltdowns. 7 spent fuel pools with literally millions of tons of freaking waste, including MOX fuel. Blown to smithereens all over. I don't know how it couldn't mutate things. I think it's as obvious as a scar across my face. That is the mutation. Now, this guy's work, going in saying this first guy was probably a dentist and it was contamination from person to person. But this throws a whole different light on this woman is the first case. December, I believe, 11th, 2019. Now, it's controversial that the Red Cross has found antibodies in blood in the United States back way further than that. Now, that was reported for a while, but then it was retracted. Now, I don't know. I personally feel that COVID has been manifesting since the disaster happened in 2011, and slowly, and I think it'll come out that the antibodies were in blood before that, and at a different level, and then this really hard case that started to kill people in 2019, December of 2019, came from clams, shellfish. And, the mink work that I've done so much mink work, and, the mink get devastated into the mink. And it's another big piece of this is, this is mink country where I live, and these mink farmers, I know mink farmers that died of COVID, but they couldn't figure out. It showed up in the mink in Denmark, it showed up the mink in Morgan, Utah, it showed up the mink in Oregon, it showed up the mink in Canada. Well, it was migrant workers, they were saying, and then people started to realize, well, wait a minute, there's no crossover between Denmark workers and workers here in the United States, in Utah, and Oregon, and in Canada. There's one common denominator. They're, fish meal they feed them. There you go. Clams, oysters, ground up dead whales, they feed them fish food, byproduct, fish byproduct, clam byproduct. Yep, that's what freaking they feed mink. I'm telling you, the mink is a big piece of this link. And there's no doubt in my mind, absolutely no doubt in my mind, I would bet the farm on it, that COVID-19 is a byproduct of Fukushima disasters. And it's only a matter of time. This is a big piece that he's done this work on at the University of Arizona. This is an important video. It doesn't matter how many views it gets because it's there in the library. And I tag these things pretty good. There's nearly 11,000 videos out there, but the tags are good enough that you can sort through. You can Google the things, and I get it. Snow Job came out and said that the search engines are a mess. And one other thing, we're going to get I've named the black and blue moon tonight. What's in a black and blue moon, 600 years, is going to start here in about an hour. I'm going to stay up because I want to watch it, see it. It's frustrating times on my YouTube site to watch the internet kettling going on with me. And my subject matter and my work is that important. My work has been that extraordinary. Kevin BLANCH. I wear a lot of hats, and I try to do as much as I can for as many people as I can. Give myself away. I want to be a foot washer. I really do. In the great spirit of the greatest activist who ever lived. Dorothy Day, Martin Luther King, William Wallace, McGregor, Jesus. That radical. Give yourself away. I want it. I want to give myself away. I want to give thanks and give back to whatever powers there be that gave me a second chance in life. When these doctors look, right now, 10 years ago right now, I was in a bone marrow transplant center going in and out of a coma. I remember this night. Well, I was just looking through my journals. There's absolutely, the mink, I think, are a big piece of this, but there's no doubt in my mind that this first case this woman got from the shellfish is a byproduct of Fukushima. Same old thing. 1917. Stay tuned.